Welcome on Texas football. I'm Bobby Burton. It's a good Saturday here. CJ Vogel joining me as well. We've got some news and notes from the Saturday morning scrimmage that have kind of trickled in. We're going to share a little bit of those with you. CJ, let's start with maybe one of the injury notes that I think that is important for folks to know. That's Jake Majors, the senior center, has been out with a boot on his foot, on his left foot. And it looks like he did not participate in the scrimmage. We hear it's not a serious injury, knock on wood, but he was not playing for the Longhorns today. What do you make of that? And what was the arrangement given that he wasn't in from your knowledge?
Yeah, it kind of sucks. We start each of these shows, Bobby, talking about an injury, right? But, you know, it's the game of football, right? Jake Majors did not practice today in the scrimmage. He has a bit of a sprain on his foot. Again, I'm not told it's all too serious, but as we've talked about, Texas isn't taking any more chances to injury right now, nor should they, right? That should be the highest of importance is moving forward, is making sure that these guys are healthy come August 31st. I do believe Jake will be healthy for that game right now, which is a positive sign. He did not participate, as I mentioned earlier. Hayden Connor got time at the first group with the center position, which meant it was Cole Hudson who was at left guard for a majority of the scrimmage, I was told this afternoon, Bobby. Connor Robertson got time at the first team's center as well, just to kind of get those guys familiar with Quinn Ewers, with that offense, with the rest of those guards and the rest of that offensive line. So Texas certainly making arrangements and you know, having those backup plans, if you will, for insurance purposes. If Jake Majors were to go down at some point this year, as we saw against Oklahoma a year ago, Texas has two options right now that they feel comfortable with. That's Hayden Connor moving in from left guard to center, and that's obviously Connor Robertson also getting time at the center position, as he normally does in practice anyways.
Oh, yeah, interestingly, Cole Hudson going in ahead of NATO Umeozulu at that position too. Somewhat interesting. We'll see what holds out and whether or not Jake Majors' injury is serious or just precautionary. We believe at this point in time it's enough for him to be held out of practice, but it's truly precautionary so that it doesn't get exacerbated. Yeah. You agree with
Bobby,
that?
I'll add this. Yeah, NATO did get run with the first team. I was told just that first initial lineup, the starting five, did include Cole Hudson. But they both got run.
Okay, got it. Good stuff. All right, you mentioned early on in this video, you said they're not taking any chances. That definitely applies to the running back room, which has been hit by a spate of injuries. First losing starter Cedric Baxter during the first week of fall camp, and then earlier this week losing true freshman Christian Clark. Steve Sarkisian sounds like he was taking no chances on Saturday morning.
That's exactly it, right? You know, keep these guys healthy. You started with 5, you're down to 3, and the games are still 2 weeks away. So at this point, we're filming at 2:15, Bobby. Right now, 15 minutes from now, 2 weeks from now, you'll be seeing the teams in full action. But until then, these guys need to be upright. They need to be healthy. And Steve Sarkisian and his staff, specifically Coach Choice, are not taking any chances with the injury bug once again. And they were all 3 running backs were in green jerseys, non-contact. Smart move in my eyes, of course, keeping these guys healthy. I've yet to hear anything specifically on the new faces, Juan Davis, Ryan Niblett, even Darian Gillette. I don't think he'll be too much of a factor in that running back position long term, however. But yet to hear anything specific there other than, hey, you know, these guys are not to be touched too often in these scrimmages moving forward.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, look, Longhorns with 3 guys in green jerseys start clearly saying, wait a minute, we need to get through a 12, 14, even 15 possibly game season. We got to keep these guys as healthy as humanly possible. Probably pretty smart. Now, talking about the scrimmage itself, based on what we're hearing, at least as of right now, CJ, we're hearing that the defense most likely won the majority of this scrimmage. You agree with that statement? That's what I heard.
Yeah, I think that's more of the sentiment I've heard so far, Bobby. Again, it kind of resonates a little bit more with what we heard a week ago. I think the difference is last week it was dominated by turnovers. And it was the 3 interceptions. It was the 2 forced fumbles, the fumble recoveries, right? Defense did a great job a week ago creating and forcing those turnovers. This week, maybe the turnovers weren't there, but they were creating punts, stoppages, getting the offense off the field, and that was really where in which the defense won the scrimmage. That was the big takeaway I heard. Maybe the offense wasn't necessarily in sync, and that could be a result of that offensive line being, having some new faces, some turnover there. But again, defense being ahead of the offense, maybe not what I was expecting this far in the fall camp, but that's what we're hearing so far through 2 scrimmages, and I would take that as a good sign.
Yeah, I think that we talked about it last week, they're becoming more and more confident with what they can do on the defensive front, switching up the personnel and what they have available to them, as well as, frankly, Johnny Nansen, I think, has brought some new things to the practice field, not necessarily from how they practice, but just the variety that the Texas defense can show the Texas offense on an ongoing basis. We'll see how that all rolls out. Now, one guy we did hear had a really good scrimmage, maybe his best scrimmage of the spring or of the fall, excuse me, maybe even the best practice of the fall after not performing too great a week ago. And that is wide receiver Matthew Golden, the transfer from the University of Houston. CJ, tell folks what you heard there.
I heard he had a heck of a touchdown. The quote that I got was, "It was a heck of a mossing." How about that? So that's a great sign, right? We know what Matthew Golden can do in the return game. We saw what he could do as a downfield threat, even though, not often used at Houston a year ago. He beat Texas for 2 touchdowns last year, but had a great scrimmage today. And I was told he was the focal point of the Sarkisian offense and the game plan today in scrimmage number 2, just again to get him back into the good graces, if you will, just to get that momentum moving once again in a positive direction with Matthew Golden. I'm with you, Bobby. I don't think it was a great scrimmage a week ago for Matthew Golden. This was a good bounce back, and he had plenty of opportunities, and I think he showed up with that and took advantage of those opportunities. Great sign for Texas. We could talk about the wide receiver position and the opportunity and kind of that picture for hours, basically. But for him to show up in scrimmage number 2 of fall camp, really impressive. Again, it was a great showing for him. The touchdown was one of the highlights of the afternoon and one of the best plays that I was told of so far.
Yep. All right. We'll have more for you guys. We do have one other note. Other than Jake Majors, CJ, I was told not that they saw or understood that there was no major injuries coming out of today. Only the precautionary one holding Jake Majors out at this point. So did you hear the same thing as me on that?
Yeah, that's normally the first text I get after these things, Bobby, is you can't, guess who went down today. That was not the case today. Of course, we did check in on Jake Majors, and again, it's more of a ankle sprain right now than anything. But I heard nothing that leads me to believe that, another big time name went down, that someone was nicked up. Very positive after another scrimmage there. And of course, running backs in a green jersey, I would expect that to be the case moving all the way into week 1.
Yeah, it should be given their numbers there. All right, we'll have more about the scrimmage on ontexasfootball.com. We've got a thread going up on the site right now that's already been posted on. Please feel free to join us over there on texasfootball.com. Also want to say thanks to our sponsor, that is John Donovan of Longhorn Wealth Management. John's a proud UT grad and shares his Longhorn passion with his wife and 6 siblings, all of whom are Longhorn grads. For a free 90-minute consultation to explore how John and the Longhorn Wealth team can serve you and your loved ones, please give John and his team a call at 972-707-4900 or visit longhornwealth.com. CJ will be back if there's more news as well. Please check on the site on texasfootball.com. For CJ Vogel, I'm Bobby Burton. This has been a really quick post-scrimmage update for On Texas Football. We'll see you guys later today. You guys have a good weekend. Hook 'em.
Happy Saturday.